the Hathor, timelines of your reality. We are here to tune into your energy and frequency. You are moving quickly in and out of the timelines of your reality. This experience represents an enhancement of your energy field as you move between what is familiar and what is unknown. You are aware that what is happening in your daily life has changed in an unusual way. We are here to acknowledge this change. You could say that this phase you are experiencing now is similar to the caterpillar inside the cocoon. There is an instinct within you that knows something magical is happening, but it doesn't yet know how this magic will manifest. We know that you perceive or know that something is happening within you and in your consciousness. You are coexisting on two timelines simultaneously. You simply don't know yet what they are or what they look like. Right now, you are facing and experiencing strange sensations. Your body is reacting unusually, your emotions are a bit unstable, you don't feel like yourself. Yet, somehow, you know that whatever is happening is part of the process. It is part of the mystery and the magic. What is happening now is an update, not a material one, but a vibrational one. Your frequency is changing. You are preparing to sustain a higher, more intense frequency. This update is affecting your cells, your nervous system, and all aspects of your physical body. This process can sometimes be uncomfortable, confusing, and even painful. What is happening to you is confirmation that a profound transformation is taking place within you. The reality that is manifesting is the shift in the frequency of your consciousness. Remember that all dimensions are levels of frequency. You are traveling between dimensions as your frequency of consciousness continues to increase. You shift from one dimension to another several times a day. This can be confusing, can disturb you, or even cause you panic. We invite you to relax, take a deep breath, and understand that this is part of the enlightenment process. You are leaving behind everything that is familiar, comfortable, and known to you. The old matrix is dissolving, and as it dissolves, chaos, uncertainty, and even fear set in. These old timelines, relationships, and associations are slowly fading away. The world as you know it will cease to exist. You are being offered the opportunity to continue, to allow and invite your frequency to increase. When this happens, you shift into a higher dimension. It is within these higher dimensions that infinite new timelines exist to explore. There are many threads of time. You can move back and forth through these various threads of time. You can go back and see what was, or go forward and see what could be. This is only possible as observers, because a single change would affect the entire thread of time and all the threads that derive from it. Every major event creates multiple time streams, various possibilities and hypotheses. You are gaining awareness of how to observe these different timelines and infinite possibilities. You are preparing to jump into the timeline that corresponds to your frequency. In the reality you have lived in, there has always been a number of possible outcomes. Suppose, for example, you wanted a new job. One reality is that you get it, another is that you don't get it, another is that you're offered something better. The temporal reality that manifests is the one on which you have focused your energy and intentions, without any doubt. So, as you begin to discover these different timelines, be aware that you have the ability to choose which reality and which dimension you want to play in. We see the Creator awakening within you. You are getting in touch with the aspect of your divine self that knows without a doubt that it is the Creator. We are alerting you to what is possible within this unfolding transformation. You are no longer a victim. You are no longer at the mercy of others. You no longer need to suffer. These are states of consciousness that belong to the old matrix that is fading away. Begin to practice methods to increase your frequency. Joy, gratitude, appreciation, living in the present moment, feeling love in your heart. Notice if your frequency increases when you are in the woods or by the sea, in any place immersed in nature. Notice if singing, dancing, playing your sport, or expressing your creativity allows you to increase your energy. Notice if it increases when you are with a loved one. Also pay attention to when your energy drops, when you feel fear, doubt, or confusion. Notice when your energy drops when you are in the company of certain people. Observing your frequency and keeping it constant and high is a conscious practice. It is from your higher states of consciousness, from your increased frequency, that you're able to explore the higher dimensions and the various timelines associated with that dimension. When this transition is complete, and you emerge from your cocoon, you will be a completely new entity, a divine being with extraordinary gifts, talents, and abilities. We are honored to share this information with you to assist and support you in this extraordinary and magical change occurring within you and on your planet. We remind you to be patient with yourselves and with others as you navigate these states of evolution. We are here to support you in every way. Call upon us and other divine beings to receive assistance. We are here to celebrate what is happening on this planet. The team, creations of the Tapestry of Life. Universal truths, dearest ones. Perhaps you believe you can know what is necessary to live in this new world you have helped create. Even though you have accepted many new concepts, you wonder what this world means for you. This is understandable, given that your personal world is changing rapidly. We of the universes will reiterate the universal truths we presented to some in your 3D world decades ago, including Brenda, who incorporated them into her channeled book from the 1980s. 1. You have the right to be powerful. 2. You are a unique and valuable person. 3. You are an individual within a group. 4. The group is moving toward a common goal. 5. The common goal is appropriate and valid for every single individual. 6. You are worth neither more nor less than any other individual. 7. You are loved by the universe. 8. Love is the common universal element. 9. Loving yourself means loving others. 10. Peace is your birthright. 11. Learning, and therefore existing, means being creative and joyful. As you reflect on these universal truths, notice that there are no obligations, duties, or punishments for those who deny the importance of a particular rule or law. Universal truths are simply a promise of what your personal world will be like when you leave your three-dimensional life. Your world is evolving from rules, duties, and obligations toward a sense of peace and joy. Not because it is decreed, but because it is the result of accepting who you are or who you are becoming. For eons, duties have dictated your lives in 3D, not because it was necessary, but because you wanted to experience external rules and guidance. You have completed those lessons. There is nothing more you can learn by continuing to follow your interests and the dictates of 3D. You are exactly at the same point you were when you decided to explore 3D in its greatest depth. So, you're finished. Now it is time to return to the freedoms you explored before you decided to pursue rules in 3D. Many of you will likely wonder how long you will continue to immerse yourselves in the world you are creating within the framework of the universal truths we have conveyed in this message. The study plan you have created is the time you need to fully adopt the universal truths in your new world, for you are trapped, and even comfortable, in your current 3D world. In 3D, you know that someone says this, and you respond by saying that. And you know you can get a lot of compassion by expressing your pain or distress. In this new world, none of these options are available. Feeling compassion for someone will be unusual, not because they aren't suffering, but rather because they are not tapping into their own resources to undo that suffering. This is a new world, with different emotions and directions. When you imagine yourself in other dimensions or frequencies, do you think of someone constantly coming to your rescue, so you don't have to clarify this or answer that? Or do you imagine yourself joyfully playing among the skies and stars, exploring different possibilities, sometimes with others and sometimes alone? Your new world is not made of isolation, but of full competence. You will discover an interest that may not be shared by others, but your interest will not diminish just because there are no people with whom to share the experience. Allow yourself to be yourself, a concept that might mean you are discovering yourself together with others, or not. Your new world is not about conformity, but about discovering your joy with or without others. Does this mean the loss of romantic love or children? That is your choice, because all forms of love will continue to be available in richer and more varied ways than was the case in three-dimensional reality. But the emotional pain often associated with three-dimensional love will be significantly diminished or entirely absent, because pain and fear are two elements of three-dimensional reality that no longer provide the learning capacities that are now manifesting. Why should fear and emotional pain continue to dominate if you have overcome the fear and pain of three-dimensional reality? So, even the thought of pain and fear indicates that you still fear your new world is just a smokescreen for persistent emotional pain. Will those of you who have completed the transition interact as you did in three-dimensional reality? Absolutely not. But will that fear linger in your thoughts for a few months, or perhaps even a few years? Undoubtedly yes, because you will have been so immersed in the fear of three-dimensional reality that it will take time to overcome the pain and fully embrace the joy of your new world. A bit like an animal that has suffered abuse and takes a while to understand it has been adopted by a family that will love it forever. For now, just know that your new world is broadly outlined in the universal truths, and that your life is no longer about emotional pain and fear, but rather about exploration in discovering the love and joy that are your birthright and freedom. So be it. Amen. Eros and logos. I increasingly have the feeling that modern society does not suffer from a lack of logos or eros, masculine or feminine principles. That is an oversimplification. The problem is not the existence of archetypes. Archetypes are pure. The problem is the frequency with which they manifest collectively. Red is not the problem. A murky red and a bright red are both red. The same goes for logos. The same goes for Eros. By logos and Eros, I mean the Jungian archetypal principles often symbolically associated with the masculine and feminine poles of consciousness. Not in a biological sense, but in an archetypal sense. Logos as structure, discernment, separation, the search for truth. Eros as relationship, emotional connection, sensitivity, union, affective life. People keep talking about balance, but honestly, the balance between two degraded forms solves nothing. A society can be perfectly balanced between emotional reactivity and cold optimization and still be spiritually dead. For me, modern society appears at the same time hyper-emotional and strangely soulless. Eros has become reactive, saturated, performative. By now, everything revolves around managing emotions. Public outrage, validation, collective sensitivity, moral signaling, social synchronization. Everyone instinctively knows what should be said, what should not be said, what generates approval, what creates danger. People react to what the other side says before even asking if it's true. Emotion is no longer just an emotion. It has become an infrastructure. At the same time, logos has not disappeared. This is the paradox. In reality, our civilization is extremely logocentric, in a now-dead sort of way. Algorithms, metrics, optimization, systems, corporate rhetoric, data, technocracy, a constant rationalization devoid of deep meaning. We have optimized everything except the reason why we optimize. What has disappeared, therefore, is not logos itself, but noble logos. Meaning, the search for truth, symbolic depth, coherent narratives, intellectual courage, the will to see clearly even if clarity creates discomfort or conflict. Modern society tolerates almost everything except real risk. It's not necessarily about physical risk, existential risk, symbolic risk, social risk, the risk of saying something that doesn't already belong to an established emotional pattern. This is why so much art seems dead to me now. Not because artists lack talent, but because culture increasingly rewards emotional safety and social comprehensibility. Once, art disturbed, seduced, obsessed, destabilized. Now, it often seems to ask permission to exist before even speaking. Everything is optimized to ensure comfort, readability, and immediate reactivity. And, ironically, the result is not more humanity, but less soul. To tell the truth, I don't believe it's simply a matter of patriarchy or matriarchy. Structurally, Western societies still operate on the basis of remnants of old patriarchal systems, even though these structures have enormously weakened over time. But on a cultural, emotional, and symbolic level, something else has emerged. A civilization in which emotional comfort, relational validation, and effective consensus increasingly dominate public life. Yet this feminine dimension is itself degraded, just as modern logos is. So we find ourselves with a strange civilization, cold systems plus excessive emotional reactions. Hyper-technical, hyper-reactive, spiritually exhausted. And perhaps this is why so many people feel empty while consuming more stimuli than ever. The strange thing is that people are still hungry for soul. You notice it immediately when something sincere appears. A piece of music, a film, a video game, a book. Suddenly people react almost with relief, as if they had forgotten they could still feel wonder instead of mere stimulation. For the gamers present, I highly recommend Clair-Obscur, and I don't say that out of patriotism. That's why I don't believe the solution is to destroy Eros or return to patriarchy, or any other simplistic ideological fantasy. That completely misses the point. The problem is the frequency. Can logos become alive again instead of algorithmic? Can Eros become deep again instead of reactive? Can civilization rediscover meaning instead of pursuing permanent optimization? I don't know. But I have the increasing feeling that modern culture is trying to eliminate all discomfort, all ambiguity, all unpredictability, all symbolic danger. And in doing so, it gradually eliminates the very conditions in which the soul emerges. If you like, write to me in the comments which work of art or modern culture has particularly struck you recently, and why. Raksha. Galactic message. Interrupting the Yuga cycle in the immensity of existence. the cycles of time spin incessantly on the cradle of creation. Civilizations rise, expand, decline, dissolve, and are reborn within great cosmic rhythms known in ancient traditions as Yuga cycles. These cycles govern collective consciousness itself. When a civilization remains trapped in dualistic consciousness, attachment, fear, ego, separation, conflict, and material identification, it also remains bound to the spinning wheel of cyclical time. The lower states of consciousness fuel the cycle. But 5D consciousness represents something profoundly different. It is not another location or dimension beyond the stars. It is a level of awareness, a realization, the remembrance of one's innate timelessness beyond the illusion of separation and linear time itself. Awakening to 5D consciousness means beginning to perceive existence from the soul rather than solely from the ego personality. This awakening can occur microcosmically in the individual and macrocosmically in entire civilizations. Humanity entered the ascending Dwapara Yuga around the year 1700, the Age of Energy. Since then, humanity has evolved rapidly on technological, scientific, and energetic levels, as collective consciousness is gradually awakening to subtler dimensions of reality, beyond dense materialism alone. Mahavatar Babaji himself intervened to accelerate humanity's evolutionary ascent, in order to contribute to the manifestation of a forthcoming golden age on Earth in the near future. This possibility exists because time itself is not ultimately fixed or absolute. Time is part of the cosmic dream. It is flexible, malleable, and responsive to consciousness. As humanity awakens beyond fear and division, the old wheel weakens. The cycle is broken through the remembrance of the eternal self beyond time. Full moon of May 31st, 2026. Blue moon warfare. The full moon of May 31st, 2026, is a blue moon because it is the second full moon of the month. With an irritating aspect from Mars, the spiritual meaning of the May 2026 full moon in astrology is to achieve your goals and desires with patience, awareness, and flexibility. This May 2026 blue moon aligns with the star Antares, which is Mars-like. It adds aggression and competitiveness and favors business, politics, and war. Mars is the god of war, Antares is the star of war. Not a good omen for peace. The full moon of May 31st, 2026, is at 9 degrees 55 minutes Sagittarius. The chart below highlights the quincunx between the moon and Mars. The moon is also in trine with Saturn, but with an intensity about 1/3 that of the aspect with Mars and with an opposite influence. A more significant influence on the May 2026 full moon astrology comes from the powerful fixed star Antares at 10 degrees 8 minutes Sagittarius. May 2026 full moon astrology. Full moon May 31st, 2026. Meaning of the May 2026 full moon: the opposition between the sun and moon will focus your home, family, and intimate relationships for the next 2 weeks of this lunar phase. Opposing forces, such as work and home, or what you need and what you want, create inner tension and external pressures. This polarization can lead to conflicts and crises that drain your energy. However, increased sensitivity and intuition make you more receptive and aware of relationship dynamics. Greater clarity and objectivity help you find emotional balance and security. Changing your behavior and reactions can ease tension and resolve relationship problems. Desire. The full moon in quincunx with Mars brings a passionate drive towards success and self-fulfillment. You can pursue your desires and compete for victory with courage, initiative, risk-taking propensity, and an offensive mindset. Sharper instincts and intuition will guide your actions. However, there is a risk of insecurity, indecision, hypersensitivity, emotional instability, and impulsivity. You may become irritable, hot-tempered, easily provoked, or rebellious. Acting out of anger, hatred, revenge, jealousy, or spite can lead to reckless decisions, losses, embarrassment, and depression. There is also a risk of theft, scandal, dishonor, fever, sexually transmitted diseases, cuts, burns, and pain or injury to the face and eyes. Patience and awareness allow you to channel anger into hard work and creativity. Physical activity is particularly helpful for relieving tension. Irritation. The aspect highlighted in the natal chart of the May 2026 full moon, shown previously, is an irritation triangle. It provides energy and motivation for work and goal achievement, leading to total effort and constant planning of new initiatives. However, it also creates constant inner tension that continuously feeds itself, making relaxation impossible. A permanent state of tension generates discomfort and nervousness, making you tense and constantly on the move. Mars offers an outlet to relieve tension and stress through assertive actions. This leads to periods, short or long, of frantic overexertion. However, you rarely achieve the desired results. When you do, they don't last. New possibilities are continuously considered, but fail to materialize. Increased tension can erupt into a sudden explosion of anger, an emotional breakdown, or a crisis. But with flexibility and adaptability, you can avoid the consequences and quickly compensate for any damage caused or hurt feelings. Using Mars proactively provides the necessary awareness to continuously seek new possibilities, learn more, achieve goals, and reach milestones. The May 2026 full moon is in the sign of Sagittarius. However, due to the precession of the equinoxes, it is in the constellation of Scorpio. In fact, the moon aligns with its main star, Antares, the heart of the Scorpion. As shown below, it also aligns with stars in the constellation of Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. 09 Sagittarius 02, Phi Ophiuchi 09 degree 36 Sagittarius, Zeta Ophiuchi, Han, Sake, 09 degree 55 Sagittarius, May 2026 blue moon 09 degree 59 Sagittarius, Omega Ophiuchi 10 degree 08 Sagittarius, Alpha Scorpii. Antares spiritual meaning of the May 2026 blue moon. May 2026 blue moon stars constellation Scorpio, from 29 Scorpio degree 08 foot to 29 degrees Sagittarius 51. Scorpio confers strength, courage, intensity, persistence, commitment, pride, magnetism, leadership, executive ability, and serious, deep, analytical thinking. It makes people strong-willed, energetic, firm, intelligent, demanding, critical, penetrating, quiet, subtle, reserved, sensual, conventional, religious, pioneering, sarcastic, restless, jealous, irritable, cunning, cruel, envious, unimaginative, and pessimistic. With the moon, energy, passion, willpower, determination, strong convictions, amiability, high standards, and kindness. But in quincunx with Mars, it can make people brusque, moody, resentful, vindictive, immoral, hot-tempered, outspoken, stubborn, intolerant, possessive, extremely jealous, melancholic, and prone to excessive gratification and spitefulness. The heart of the Scorpion confers military command, success in war, immense courage, mental readiness, strategic ability, liberality, and open-mindedness. But this is a challenging fixed star that causes sudden events, unexpected occurrences, malevolence, destructiveness, violence, accidents, and dangers from fire, weapons, machinery, and violent death, whether in battle or by legal means. It makes people reckless, ravenous, stubborn, obstinate, and self-destructive. Antares, 10 Sagittarius 08, is opposite Aldebaran, 09 Gemini 48. When both these archangelic stars are activated, as in this full moon, it signals either the start date of a war or the natal themes of the leaders, and peace rarely follows before the total and overwhelming defeat of one of the two parties. And it is a war that escalates to enormous proportions, even worldwide. With the moon, great power, authority, wealth, and dignity that evoke fear and enmity, popularity, open-mindedness, influential friendships that offer help, a tendency to change opinions and religious affiliations, interest in science, philosophy, metaphysics, and local affairs. Favorable for business, military affairs, public affairs, sports, occultism, and domestic matters, but the benefits may not be lasting. The quincunx with Mars brings danger of self-destruction, violence, disease, drowning, falling from a horse, blindness or eye injury, death of mother or wife, deception by enemies, and assassination. Constellation Ophiuchus, from 29 Scorpio degree 22 foot to 14 degrees Capricorn 00. Ophiuchus, serpent bearer, confers a passionate, blindly good, spendthrift, and easily seduced nature, prudence, wisdom, healing ability, invisible dangers, enmity, and slander. It governs poisons and medicine. Chinese asterism's Alpha Sco belongs to the heart asterism, Phi and Omega off to the eastern gate, and Zeta off to the right wall of the celestial market. May 2026 full moon Sagittarius. May 2026 full moon asterisms asterism Exine, 08 Sagittarius 10 to 11 Sagittarius 49. Exine, heart, represents the correct position of the heavenly king. Antares governs the rewards and punishments of the world. With the moon, ministers are worried. If south of the heart, the king is worried, and war will break out. Dongxian, Eastern Gate, represents the entrance to the house and prevents debauchery and harassment by treacherous officials. With the moon, inauspicious, indicates conspiracy, disrespect for the empress, and famine for the people. Asterism Tianqiuan, 18 Scorpio 42. 09 Sagittarius 36. Tianqiuan, right wall of the celestial market, represents the right wall of the city, governing power, authority, and balance, the gathering of the masses, and matters of execution and punishment. With the moon, political changes and corruption occur, the closest ministers are punished for crimes, and war breaks out. Summary of the May 2026 full moon. The aspect of Mars and the configuration it creates with the May 2026 full moon have similar influences. Both generate tension that intensifies until it results in a sudden, impulsive release of energy, leading to an explosion of anger, emotional breakdown, or crisis. The combination of this emotionally unstable energy with the fixed, combative star Antares carries the risk of conflict, accidents, violence, and war. Pete Hegseth, and perhaps also Benjamin Netanyahu, have Antares on the ascendant, and Aldebaran on the descendant. Andrew Tate has the Sun and Saturn conjunct Antares. Lunar phases. The influence of the May 31st full moon lasts for 2 weeks, until the June 14th new moon. Astrologically, the full moon is influenced by the preceding new moon. The May 16th new moon favors diplomacy, cooperation, and peace. As I write, May 27th, news comes that a peace deal in the war between Israel and US against Iran is closer than ever. But the new moon was conjunct the fixed star Algol, so the risk of extreme misfortune is always present. Now, the May 2026 blue moon, conjunct Antares and quincunx Mars, makes war more likely than peace. Hakuna, priestess of Agartha. The silent doors beneath the mountains, beloved beings of the surface realms. Many humans imagine inner Earth as a hidden world that exists physically beneath mountains and oceans, dotted with tunnels and underground cities. In these stories lie fragments of truth, although reality itself is far more multidimensional than the human mind has been accustomed to perceiving. Agartha exists on a higher plane of reality that gently overlays your world, like two frequencies sharing the same space while vibrating at different rhythms. The caves, mountains, forests, and remote places of your Earth already possess natural portals to these realms, although such portals respond far more to vibrations than to physical sight. The Earth recognizes consciousness. A sacred mountain reacts differently to a being who walks in peace than to one burdened by inner weight. Some caves and caverns on your planet already guard active portals, silently waiting for those whose energy begins to resonate with the subtler frequencies of life. In the coming years, new portals will begin to open in remote areas of the Earth. Some will awaken near ancient mountains, crystal caves, waterfalls, forests, and pristine lands where nature still preserves its original harmony. Some among humanity will feel a deep call toward these places, often through dreams, inner visions, or a mysterious attraction impossible to explain logically. These are ancient memories awakening. Many souls already carry connections with the inner worlds and with the Lemurian civilizations of Agartha. As the Earth's frequency continues to increase, the body itself begins to remember how to perceive beyond ordinary senses. This is why many now feel guided toward lighter foods, conscious breathing, silence, meditation, movement, and a more peaceful relationship with life. The body gradually becomes capable of containing subtler energy flows, and the dormant chi energy resting at the base of the spine naturally awakens, rising through the body like a golden river returning to its source. With the awakening of this energy, perception changes. The senses sharpen. Intuition strengthens. Nature begins to communicate more directly. Some of you will one day walk physically from the surface realms into inner Earth, experiencing the transition almost as if reality gently opens around you. The atmosphere changes, silence becomes alive, and the landscape itself begins to convey another quality of light and intelligence. We invite those who feel this call to prepare with gentleness and joy. Nourish the body with living, sunlight-rich foods. Spend time in nature. Breathe consciously. Cultivate peace in the nervous system and kindness in the heart. The Earth responds beautifully to beings who walk in harmony with life. Now sit in silence for a moment and bring your awareness to your heart. Then say softly within yourself, I align with the wisdom and harmony of inner Earth. I welcome the guidance of the Hakuna priests of Agartha. May my body become serene, bright, and pure. Guide my steps to the sacred places prepared for my journey. I walk in harmony with the earth, and with the living light present in all things. Dearest ones, the earth is beginning to remember itself again, and many hidden doors will soon open for those who are ready to look beyond the surface of reality.